Hey guys, it's Hades. You're watching Underlord TVs. If you haven't already guessed, I actually have a podcast, and I'm actually gonna do episode 2 of my podcast. Like, I already done it. Okay, I need to clarify that I already done it, and I'm gonna just do it on YouTube again. First video, it was a little trashy. I'll be honest. The camera on my computer sucks. I now know to never use the camera on the computer. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and do episode 2. So the episode begins with Pomni waking up in the middle of the tent. Then her heart is beating very fast. She's like very anxious, she's very nervous, she's very scared. Then she noticed her arm starts abstracting, which really scares her. And then she falls into the cellar where all the abstracting beings going. And all these silhouettes of Jax, Kane, and Ragatha are like taunting her as she's falling. As the darkness envelopes Pomni, the episode cuts to her waking up. She obviously falls from her bed because of the terrifying dream, and for some reason there was a block in her room, random block, and she glitches into it and launches up to the roof. Then Ragatha shows up and she's like, "Hey Pomni, we got a new adventure. Do you want to wake up? How'd you sleep?" And she didn't get a response at first, and she was about to leave, but then Pomni opens the door and she was like, "Oh, hello. Hi." So yeah, she then tells Pomni like, "Hey, there's a new adventure. Do you want to come with us to go see what it is?" So yeah, that is part 1 of the episode. Yeah, we're gonna get to the next part now. The crew meets up at the stage to listen to Kane's introduce the episode adventure. Candy Carry Chaos is what it's called. They have to go to the Candy Kingdom to go fight these bandits who stole their most valuable source, which was maple syrup. Pretty weird. I do have to warn the viewers, I do actually have a podcast voice, so if you do end up listening to my podcast, it's a lot more she then blah 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 blah. It's because I get really focused in and I don't actually zone out, because right now I'm actually like zoning out, like, well, not zoning out, I'm losing focus. I'm straight up losing focus right now, and as you can see. And it's also just these videos aren't as serious as I would like them to be. Hopefully when I have more viewers, they'll start becoming more, serious. So yeah, next part. The scene then cuts to them basically sitting on a carriage. Zubul obviously opted out. They're on a carriage being pulled by a gummy elephant. And then there's a bunch of NPCs, mannequins that look like candy, cheering them on and like, yay, they're here. Then as they got off, they were like, "Oh, this is a nice place." Gangle gets pushed, her mask falls, breaks, because this one mannequin was like, "Look, the princess," and basically just went bah, really hard on her face. So yeah, she got knocked out for a little second. Princess walks out, she's like, "Oh my gosh, welcome the group," and then she's like, "You were sent by God," pointing at a artistic piece window of Kane. And this really tells you, like, in my podcast I made a joke about how the dentures like teeth have such a big ego. It is so funny. So yeah, Princess obviously like tells them the exact same thing Kane told them, which is like, "Hey, I need you to go capture these bandits. They stole the most valuable thing. Please do that." And she's like, "Here's a truck to chase them in," which confused Pomni. She's like, "What era is this supposed to be again?" And I'm like, that's fair. Why do we have like these trucks that have spikes and weapons on them? I forgot what it's like a reference to a movie. I just forgot what movie. I've watched it. I know that. I just forgot what it's called. Anyways, Jax made Gangle drive because he hates the sound of the horn, which, yeah, if the horn sounded cartoonish, I would probably hate it too. But, they leave, and then it switches to the bandits, who are all these gummy, like, lizards and alligators. And the yellow bandit, who is the boss, is named Gumligoo. The other 2 bandits are named Chad and Max, but Chad has long arms, Max has short arms. They're both a little stupid. I'll admit it. They're a little stupid, but they're funny. It really adds the character to this episode. So they notice the other truck and they're like, "Okay, we need to go," and they start driving away because they like gathered up, drive away. So later, then the other truck with all the crew basically catches up, and yeah, yay, more violence. So Jax throws Pomni over to the other truck, and she like holding on to both trucks like this, and her arms get stretched out. And Jax is like, perfect, keep your grip. What did she do? Lost her grip. So when she ended up on the other truck with the bandits, I think it was Max, the purple one, who has short arms, had tried to grab Pomni, but his arms were too short. So he ended up falling off the truck because Jax hit him with a shoe bazooka. He had like a bazooka, but it hit him with his shoe. It was weird. So I'm really confused about these weapons. I didn't even know it was his shoe until I looked it up. And yeah, he eventually climbs up later, but he was mostly goofing off and like being stupid about it. But it was funny. It added character through the episode again. And then you have the other ones trying to get Pomni, but eventually the Kingers like throws an anchor at Pomni so she could try to get back over, but the rope goes right over Pomni and flies for a very long time. Jax of course asks where the anchor was attached to anything. Kinger goes ahead and goes down these stairs, defying gravity, and ends up saying, oh yeah, it's basically attached to something. And it basically pulls there at the cruise truck into the bandit truck, causes them to flip over, causes this truck to go flying, and it glitches into a ground. And basically Max and Chad and the truck, they all just go flying up into the air, and Pomni and Gummy Goo end up underground, under the map basically. And he lands in this blue maze like Gummy Goo. So confused, he attempts to try to find a way out after he discovers a giant room which contains every NPCs in this adventure. Pomni then just falls down nearby, and he's like, why aren't you here? Why are there models of us? What's going on? Tell me what my existence is, what to explain to me, like. So yeah, she tries to explain to him without making him spiral, which good luck trying not to make an NPC who doesn't know he's not real not spiral. Because if they're coded to not spiral, then yeah, maybe. But if they're coded to be more immersed, like Kane said at the beginning of the episode, then we're kind of screwed, right? So back to the group. This fudge monster basically comes out after they popped out of a fudge river. They're talking. Jax of course blames Gangle for the accident. Then this fudge monster tries to eat them, and Ragatha's like, no, we're not candy. And so he's like, oh man. Then he basically explains this whole story about how he got banished, and Jax is like, hey, you know what? I can give you like the key back. So back under the map, Pomni was trying to like pry the replica of the other truck with a popsicle. Like, yeah, not working. So, whatever. Gummy Doo is already breaking down. He's like, I don't remember what my mom looks like. I don't even know what my life is. And he's just upset. And so Pomni comforts him and tells him like, hey, if you want, you can come to the circus with us. I kind of need a friend. And he of course agrees, and they end up like getting back onto the map because they like use replica blocks to glitch the wheels of the replica truck, and they got shot back up into the map. And when the fudge was carrying the other tanker and because the other crew, the other bandits actually fell down, and which confused Bragatha before. And so she's like, where are the others? And in this scene, she's like, I don't know where the others are. I'm really confused. I hope Pomni's okay. And Kinger has to be like, hey, don't worry. Everybody's had a rough time. Remember when you got here? And he's basically just saying, Kane will find them. Don't worry. So yeah. Then they basically land on the fudge, the truck that went flying with Pomni or Gummy Goo. They land on the fudge, and yay. Of course, they end up like reuniting, and they're all happy, and Gummy Goo gets to see his brothers and like thank them. And yeah, Jax is of course upset because he wanted this adventure to be violence and blood, but it ended up not happening, or does it? So the crew goes back to the kingdom. The princess of course thanks him, and then she assumes that Gummy Goo will be executed when he's going through the portal. And then you hear a large explosion and lots of screaming. The fudge is alive. He's not dead. Yay. I had to explain that he got crushed. And that's why Jax was upset, because he wanted violence and blood. Ended up he's getting that. But before we could see anything happen, you know, it switches back, and Kane, of course, notices Gummy Goo immediately and is like, oh. And Gummy Goo just pops into confetti. Confetti pop. Yay! And he explains, like, if he has NPCs and humans, he'll get confused and might delete one or do something. I don't know. Something bad might happen. Which is actually really, like, if you think about it, that really tells you something about Kane. Anyways, Pomni's of course upset, and then, you know, Ragatha is like, hey, do you want to come to Kakumo's funeral? No, sad ending. But Jax is actually briefly saddened when he hears this, but he walks away annoyed because he doesn't want to show emotion, which actually shows you something about him, about his relationships and his behavior. I do have to mention that because it, So the scene cuts to all the characters, all of them except Jax, and except Pomni because she didn't really know him. They're like talking, like it's like a montage, sad montage of them talking and smiling and giving out good memories, and Pomni's standing there, and she realizes that she's not going to be alone. She has friends here, and yeah, she, even though she's trapped in a prison, she's not alone. She has other people to be with. So yeah, this episode was very short, much shorter than my actual podcast. It's like 16 minutes on the podcast, but that's only because I actually do a long summary and I give my opinions. But my opinion is on that podcast, so if you want to listen to that, please do. Really helps out. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. You're watching Underlord TVs, and please go listen to Underlord TVs on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and anything else that you can find me on. I promise you can probably find me on everywhere. It's working, okay? Bye.